often when we tell a Christmas story, we tell it in this picturesque and flowery way, and you will find the baby lying in a manger, wrapped in swaddling clothes. That is not how it was. And I don't think we usually take enough time to sit and think about how crucial it really was, or even think about what kind of implications that has for us. Hi everybody, I'm Alicia Greer, and in this video I am talking to you about the power of the manger. And I really just have one crucial point that I want to give you all, but of course I can't give it to the end of the video because I gotta build up to it. So listen in. So the idea for this video came about a couple weeks ago when I was rereading the beginning of the Christmas story in Luke chapter 2, which tells of the birth of Jesus. And for whatever reason, I was reading it in some other translation of the Bible that I don't usually read it in. But at the verse where it usually says, the baby was lying in a manger, this particular version said, a feeding trough. Now, I know that that's what a manger is, but reading the words feeding trough really put it in a new light for me. Because I don't know about you, maybe you're more of a country gal or guy, maybe you're like a farmer or something, but if you're a city girl like me, I don't really have a big context for manger. It's not a word I really use in my vocabulary too often. So even though I know that it's like the thing that cattle eat out of, when I hear the word, I think nativity scene. I think something cute, right? I think little cute shepherds and little figurines and the star in the sky, cute little, I think cute things. But the manger was not cute, okay? And this whole scene was not cute. There was nothing cute about it, okay? So let's back up. Let's just tell the story real quick in like a few sentences. Mary was 9 months pregnant. She's in Bethlehem with Joseph because everybody had to go to Bethlehem for the census. So because everybody had to go there, it was packed. So she was trying to find a place to stay. She was at this hotel, the inn, and they had no room for her. They were all booked up because everybody and their mama's in town. But the crucial thing is that she's 9 months pregnant, okay? And she's probably having contractions by now, I'm thinking, because she was about to have the baby. Like, she was literally about to give birth. So anyway, 9 months pregnant, been traveling, they didn't have cars. I mean, can you imagine to be told, sorry, we're all booked up, so can't help you, but if you really want somewhere to stay, I guess you can stay in the barn with our animals. What? You would think that maybe they would kick out somebody, like maybe they would like relocate another family, like, oh, we've got a pregnant woman who's giving birth right now. But for whatever reason, that did not happen. So she's in the barn, on the ground, there's like dirt and hay, and she has to give birth here in the midst of animals and stuff. I mean, talk about unsanitary conditions. So then she's giving birth, and then think about the afterbirth and everything that's happening. It's bloody, it's messy, it's dirty. It is far from quaint, okay? But we don't tell it like that. Like, we tell the story in such a cute way. What 9-month pregnant woman that would go through that situation and tell the story in a cute way? I don't know any, because it wasn't cute. And so she finally has the baby, and the best place that she can find to put him is in the feeding trough, what we call the manger, okay? Not cute. This is the thing that the cattle eat out of. So slobber and dirt and hay and leftover bits of whatever they were eating is in this trough, okay? Not this little cute wooden thing that was made especially for baby Jesus. No. So it is in these conditions that Jesus makes his entry into the world. That is his first bed. That says a lot right there. Now I want you to think, picture in your mind the biggest celebrity that you can think of. Close your eyes. Okay, do you have them in your mind? Now, you can open your eyes. I want you to imagine what kind of accommodations does that person receive when they travel? Like an A-list celebrity, or a royal, or a dignitary, or even just a wealthy person. They usually get like the penthouse suite, right? So this is Jesus. This is the Son of God. This is God in flesh coming to earth. Whoever you had in your mind, he's far beyond surpassing that person in greatness and in grandeur and in majesty. Okay, he is the one that person will bow to at the end of their life. So he makes his entrance, and his accommodation is a feeding trough, is a manger. Now, the thing about that is, this has to be intentional. It has to be, because everything else about Jesus' birth was meticulously planned out and orchestrated and prophetically foreshadowed before it happened, such as the fact that he would be born in Bethlehem and that he would come from the line of David, son of Jesse, and that a star would indicate the place of his birth. All of these things that came to pass and that lined up, and you mean to tell me that this one detail was just a roll of the dice? No, God had to know this in advance. This was intentional. Everything else about Jesus' birth was intentional. So what does this mean? Surely there are some fundamental things that we can derive from the fact that Jesus was born in a manger, such as the character of God. Jesus says later on in Matthew 20 that he did not come to be served, but to serve. And that really just speaks volumes. So the fact that Jesus was born in a manger bespeaks the character of Jesus. Isn't it awesome to know that God, the King of the universe, is not elitist or pretentious or snobby, but he can get down in the mess of earth and kind of just deal with common folk and make himself at home amongst us. That is just awesome. And it also tells us something about the assignment of Jesus. He says in Matthew 20 that he came not to be served, but to serve, and what? And to give his life as a ransom for many. The main act of service that Jesus came to earth to do was to die for our sins so that we could be reconciled to God. So the fact that he was born in a manger in these lowly conditions bespeaks his character, and it bespeaks even the nature of his assignment to serve in just such a lowly way, even to the giving of his life. And of course, it also sets an example for his followers to follow, because Jesus says in that same passage in Matthew 20 that he who would be greatest among you will be your servant. So in the kingdom of God, things are different than they are in the world. The way to greatness is through service. So all of these things are important and fundamental observations that we can derive from the humble circumstances of Jesus' birth. All very central themes to the gospel message. But none of those things are the point that I am trying to make to you in this video. What the Lord spoke to me about as I was reading the other day is this. The manger says something to us about honor. See, Jesus did not come to earth demanding honor. Rather, he gave us the opportunity to display it. Because the beauty of honor is only possible when honor is voluntary. See, Jesus says in John 8:54 that if I glorify myself, my glory means nothing, but the Father glorifies me. So honor really only means something if someone else is giving it to you. So Jesus gave us the opportunity to honor him by coming to us in such a lowly state. I mean, talk about starting from the bottom, now we here. We know that here is seated at the right hand of the Father, but he started in the pig pen, okay? So he gave us the opportunity to show him what kind of honor are we going to give him. Who are we going to be in this story? When King Herod heard about the star that indicated the birth of Jesus, King Herod said, kill him. Kill all the young baby boys. So are we going to be like King Herod, or are we going to be like the wise men who go and travel and seek him and worship? Are we going to be like the Pharisee who invited Jesus to dinner? A nice gesture. Or are we going to be like the woman with a sinful past who showed up at that dinner and wept at his feet and washed Jesus' feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair and poured out her fragrant, expensive oils on him? Or in the story of his crucifixion, are we going to be like the criminal who hung on his left, who said, "If you're really the Christ, save us and yourselves"? Or are we going to be like the criminal on the right, who said, "Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom"? See, we get to decide who we are in the story of the gospel, and it is displayed by the honor that we choose to give to Jesus. See, and then here's the really interesting thing about honor. The level of honor you give doesn't really reveal who that person is. The level of honor you give reveals who you are. See, Jesus came to earth already knowing who he was, and God confirmed it at his baptism when he said, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." So Jesus already knew who he was. That's why he didn't say, "Simon Peter, who am I?" He said, "Who do you say I am?" Because his answer didn't just reveal who he was, his answer revealed who Peter was. So Peter said, "Men, they say that you are maybe John the Baptist or Elijah or Jeremiah." But Jesus says, "No, who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter says, "You are Christ, the Son of the living God." And when Peter gave that answer, honoring Jesus as Lord, then Jesus was able to reveal something about who Peter was. Jesus began to say, "Blessed are you, Simon, and I say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it, and I will give you the keys to the kingdom, and whatever you bind on earth is bound on heaven, and whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven." And Jesus just began to speak into Peter's identity. Why? Because Peter had come into agreement with who Jesus really was and showed him honor as Lord. And Peter's honor of Jesus revealed something about Peter that Jesus was able to bless. So our identity is wrapped up in the level of honor that we give to Jesus. In other words, our identity isn't simply wrapped up in who Jesus is. Our identity is wrapped up in who Jesus is to us. And who Jesus is to us is directly tied to the honor that we show him. Where is Jesus in the inn of your life? Is he in the penthouse or is he in the pig pen? Do you give him the level of respect and honor and time and reverence that you would any casual person? Do you stuff him aside when you're busy? "Oh, sorry, I don't have room for you in my life, in my schedule. Love you, but can't help you"? Or are you the person that is going out of your way for him, reverencing him, worshiping him? Because Jesus already revealed who he is. He is the Son of the Most High God, seated at the right hand of the Father. But who he is to you says something about you. It makes me think of this really beautiful worship song called "Your Majesty" that Steve Lawrence sings. And one of the lines in that song is, "You are royalty, so I crown you King of Kings." He's already the King of Kings, but we have the opportunity to crown him, to show him reverence or to reject him. It even makes me think about crowns in the Bible, because the mockers gave Jesus a crown of thorns to hurt and injure him and to taunt and tease him. Like, "Oh, you say you're the King of the Jews. Well, here's your crown." It was a crown of mockery. It revealed that they rejected who he said he was. But then in Revelation chapter 4, you see the elders casting down golden crowns before him. The honor we give Jesus says everything about us. So the next time you hear the nativity story, the Christmas story, I pray that you don't just think of it as some little cutesy scene, but may the manger, the grittiness and the muck of it, may it ever remind you that Jesus came in a lowly position to give you the opportunity to decide how much you would elevate him in your life. How will you magnify him? Will you place him in a manger, or will you crown him